After years of denials, deflections, and failing to acknowledge the fact that he was once caught with millions of dollars in his numerous accounts, that he specifically opened to launder proceeds of narcotics trafficking, which he later forfeited $460,000 to the United States government. Bola Tinubu and the APC in their defense, which they filed at the Presidential Election Petitions Tribunal in Abuja, which is, of course, is a reply to the one that Peter Obi made, they've now added a new twist, which of course is an indirect acceptance that Tinubu has a criminal past. Tinubu is now telling the tribunal that his US conviction and forfeiture of $460,000 is not enforceable in Nigeria because, according to him, the order was never registered in any Nigerian court. So Tinubu accepts the fact that he was indeed involved in a crime in the United States of America, but he should not be held accountable, he should not be held responsible because the crime wasn't committed in Nigeria. This is laughable, to say the least. It's like a driver who hits someone and turns around and starts claiming that his car should be held accountable. Of course, cars can be held accountable if it is a self-driving car or maybe the manufacturer. But if a human being is behind the steering wheel of a car and it's involved in an accident, that human must be held accountable. He must be held responsible for the accident. That's how it works. The human is there to determine when to apply his brakes to stop in the case of an obstacle. So what Tinubu is claiming and pleading the court to accept is like saying that his accounts should be held responsible, not him. Never mind that he is the owner of the account, he still thinks and believes he shouldn't be held accountable. This is the reason many believe that the court is on trial here. The way Peter Obi and the Labour Party legal team approached the petition, they made Tinubu's criminal past the first plea. They want the court to determine if he is truly qualified to lead Nigeria as the president. Yes, all these petitions at the Presidential Election Petitions Tribunal will finally end up on appeal at the Supreme Court. Whichever party that loses will have the right to appeal at the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court is not just the final arbiter in Nigeria. Their judgment sets public policy in Nigeria. All the confusion currently going on in Nigeria about the 25% requirement in Abuja, although it is clearly written in English, but some people are trying to make a meal of it, because it doesn't favor them. They want to interpret it in their own way. So the Supreme Court will set the standard going forward. Whatever decisions they take this time around will be a standard that politicians and Nigerians going forward will be following. No more confusion, no one saying this will be done this way or done that way. INEC, for instance, should know the provisions of the law. They should have legal advisors who should tell them this is the position, this is that, no confusion. So the Supreme Court will have the opportunity to decide. Whatever they decide this time around will be the policy going forward. So if the Supreme Court eventually rules at the end of the appeal that someone with a criminal past, whether it was done abroad, whether he committed the crime anywhere, and maybe 30 years ago or wherever, that he can be qualified to contest for presidency, it becomes the standard in Nigeria. Anyone can come back from any crime and contest for presidency. That's the standard they will set. But if they say no, it is a moral burden on Nigeria that will have literal millions of other people who can hold the position, who can command the respect and lead Nigerians, that such people should become president. It becomes the standard. Also, going by Tinubu's argument that the crime was not committed in Nigeria or that it wasn't registered in any Nigerian court, what of the NDLEA Act that commits people to prison? People who went to jail abroad, on their return in Nigerian soil, they are arrested and committed to prison to serve some time for disgracing Nigeria abroad. Nigerian citizens should live exemplary life abroad. But when they're involved in crimes, especially crimes that are fraudulent, drug-related and all that, it brings disgrace to the country, Nigeria. So that was why it was added in the NDLEA Act. There are other laughable defense pleas that Tinubu and the APC are praying the court, but we shouldn't waste our time and all that. The summary is that they are asking the court to throw away the petition of Peter Obi and the Labour Party, that it lacks substance. Even INEC is claiming the same thing. They are saying that Tinubu was duly elected. Never mind the fact that INEC couldn't give the proof to the Labour Party legal team when they requested for it. It's very amusing that they are banking on technicality to win instead of providing the court the evidence that they actually won the highest number of legal votes and that they actually made the required 25%. Although they didn't show that they made 25% in Abuja, they are now saying that the Abuja is not required. So the court has a lot of work to do. Whatever they decide will be Nigeria's policy going forward. If they say that so person can contest, then going forward, everyone with such baggages can contest. If they say no, you can't contest, or they say yes, that 25% is required in Abuja like it was done in the past, the Supreme Court might need to reverse itself because the Supreme Court has ruled before that 25% is required. Let's wait and see how the court will decide.
Let's go! Yes, sir! Yes, sir!
Seriously, Nigerian politicians have no shame. What kind of chronism will make politicians prefer a man who has many baggages and forfeited thousands of dollars being process of narcotics trafficking to a man who his only crime is that he had the audacity to contest the presidency out of the two major parties? If things are working perfectly in Nigeria, people like Tinubu won't run for office because he will be more concerned about the attention his conviction and forfeiture will bring to him than whatever he stands to gain. But look at his audacity. Why will the worst of us be presiding over the affairs of Nigeria when we have literal sense and intelligent individuals who can run the country better? There are many more thousands of P2B in Nigeria, and yes, P2B is literally a saint as far as politicians are concerned, not just in Nigeria, but in the world. Even in Europe and America, there are many politicians with baggages and scandals. He has no single scandal, no baggages, and most importantly, he is competent. He actually knows what governance is all about. Unlike many politicians today, someone like Buhari that doesn't have any solution to many problems in Nigeria. Look at what is happening in Benue and the Northwest. Are they not humans that need protection? No solution to the insecurity there since how many years and counting? This was Buhari's main promise in 2015, but 8 years later, we haven't made progress. If you can't solve it the first time and the second time, for the umpteenth time, it clearly shows that you can't do the job. No company, bank, or organization will tolerate a manager or CEO who have failed in his duties and possibly brought the organization below what it was before he took over. If an ordinary company can't tolerate it, why do Nigerians tolerate it? Why do Nigerians tolerate incompetent politicians? This goes on in many sectors and people don't really care. Even people directly affected by the incompetence of the government in managing their affairs, they don't care, because if they actually did, the kind of results we saw during the presidential election from places worst affected by insecurity wouldn't have been so. You do not reward an incompetent politician. If you do that, then you become part of the problem. No excuse should be tolerated when a problem with no solutions persists in our society. If we tolerate excuses from those in power, that means we might not be able to solve some problems in a century or even 500 years. Now, let's see the implication of the recent ordeal of Peter Obi in London, where they stopped him and said that he was a victim of impersonation. This is a very serious issue, and since he was stopped at the airport, that means someone is using Peter Obi's passport, an exact duplicate. All the bio data are the same. How did that individual get access to this? It can only come from someone that has top-level privileges at the immigration, because they are the ones that issue Nigerian passports to citizens. Is the government investigating the issue? Because if they don't, that means they are complicit. Maybe that was the reason they have been mounting pressure on Peter Obi to leave the country and go on exile. Having lived in the UK for several years, maybe they thought that London would have been his preferred destination if he decides to go anytime. Also, Peter Obi might have gotten a tip from someone inside who urged him to go quickly to London in order to avert whatever crime the person wants to commit, the person that is using his bio data and impersonating him. In all this, the government might be complicit. Or if they are not, they should launch an investigation if one hasn't been launched already. So as to clear all doubt, the essence of the secure new Nigerian passport is to prevent impersonation like this. They shouldn't be playing politics with everything. If they are trying to send a message to the world that two persons in Nigeria can share the same passport, they can have the same biodata, then no problems. But if they want to prove to the world, yes, we are a law-abiding country where things must be done right, they should launch an investigation already. Remember that this is the reason Trump blocked Nigerians from coming to the United States when he was in power. Is the Nigerian government trying to prove Trump right? Thanks for watching.